You guys ever just look at a deck and see the cards around the deck and think to yourselves, this is going to be top tier? Oh yeah, that's definitely Hexaorb Sorceress, and this is why. What's up, you guys, and welcome to the Prime Vanguard channel. So today I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite Keter Sanctuary decks to play out of the two is Hexaorb Sorceress. Now, Hexaorb Sorceress is one of the ride lineups that was a new one introduced to us in the first set of Overdress Vanguard, and ever since then we've gotten all the support for set 2, as I stated before in my Eugene video and my Magnolia video. Go check them out, they'll be in the top corner above here. And I'm going to go ahead and discuss to you why I think that Hexaorb Sorceress is going to be the next top tier deck. Now, as I've stated before, all the support for everything has come out. It's already out in Japan. We already have some deck lists and some variations of the different decks that can be played. We also got a new ride lineup introduced in this set, which is the Phantom Blaster Dragon ride lineup, featuring all the OG units such as Blaster Javelin, Full Bow, Maka, and of course Blaster Dark. Now, with the introduction of this ride lineup, there's going to be some support led to this, some support led to Bastion, but I will say that this set definitely gave Hexaorb Sorceress the justice she deserved. So she got 3 amazing cards in this set. Those 3 cards are Diaglass Sorceress, Knights of Subtlety Owen, and Octodevote Sorceress. But with the introduction of these 3 cards, we seriously have a deck that probably in the next set, depending on what the Keter Sanctuary support is going to be for her, will be the top tier really soon. Now, why is this? How is this deck that barely did good in the first season going to do so well in the next season? Well, before we can delve really into that, we need to understand what is Hexaorb Sorceress, what does she do, and what is her game plan. This is Hexaorb Sorceress' ability. She has 2 of the following effects, and they read as followed. Auto, on the Vanguard circle, when your drive check reveals a trigger unit, choose one of your rear guards and it gets plus 10,000 power until the end of the turn. Her second ability is an act ability, which is on the Vanguard circle once per turn. If you Persona Road this turn, you may Counterblast 1 and Soul Blast 1, reveal up. If you Persona Road this turn, you may Counterblast 1 and Soul Blast 1, reveal up to 1 critical trigger or front trigger from your hand and put it on the top of your deck. And this unit gets drive plus 1 until the end of the turn. So that's Hexaorb Sorceress already right there. It's very clear what her game plan is. She wants you to use your deck manipulation abilities that Keter Sanctuary has, stack multiple triggers on top of it, and then double the effect of each trigger revealed so that your rear guards become a lot stronger of attackers. The really cool thing about her ability is the fact that her 10,000 power bonus lasts until the end of the turn. So if we ever got some cards that were able to attack before and then restand later in the battle phase, that means that card will receive its 10,000 bonus on top of the effects it gets multiple times during the battle phase if we get a unit that can attack twice. New set, she got 3 amazing support cards. And instead of me just talking about why these cards are so good, before I hop into that, I'm gonna go ahead and showcase their effects and abilities and what makes this deck so much better. So the first card we got, which is Diaglass Sorceress, she has the following ability, which reads as auto, when this unit is placed on the rear guard circle from hand, if your Vanguard is Hexaorb Sorceress or Pentagleam Sorceress, you may Counterblast 1 and discard a card from your hand. Look at 2 cards from the top of your deck, choose up to 2 unit cards from among them, call them to rear guard circle, and put the rest in the top of your deck in any order. So with Diaglass Sorcerer being a grade 1, that means that you have another form of 5,000 shield into the deck, which is important for your defensive strategy because you're going to be playing more grade 3s than the 2s or the 1s. And this card lets you build a board, it lets you stack the top of the deck, and it only costs you Counterblast, which is very easily refundable in the Keter Sanctuary versus Soul, which is where the deck has a bit of its main issue at, which makes this card always viable. Her other ability lets you call things out. If you want to call up to 2 or stack the deck is really important as well, because you can also play mind games to your opponent and choose not to call up to 2. You can switch 2 cards on top of your deck and force cards out of your opponent's hand. And the most important thing about this card is the fact that you can do this during the Pentagleam on grade 2, or you can do this during Hexaorb on grade 3, which means that if you see her early in your ride lineup after you get from the ride deck, that means you can drop this card, build up your board early, and start attacking. If you get this with Hexaorb, you can use this set up with Hexaorb for a really good offense. Plus, keep in mind that Hexaorb is a 4th turn deck. Her second ability, remember, is on Persona Ride, so you really want to make sure that you can survive all the way up until that 4th turn. you really want to make sure that you can survive all the way up to that 4th turn play, which will get that Persona ride, the 10,000 power, the draw, and the stacking of the critical or the front trigger that you get. Hold up, speaking of front triggers, I just remembered in my last video about this, but every deck also got a new front trigger, which is going to become a 5,000 shield when your opponent's on grade 3, which means that you now have a card that improves your defensive capabilities and works well with Hexaorb's ability, meaning that the deck just got a lot beefier when it comes to its defense. So already right there, we just got 2 cards that are going to plus the deck really well. Now, what other good support this deck got is its Knight of Subtlety Owen, which has the following effect. Knight of Subtlety Owen has the following ability, which reads as, when this unit is placed on the rearguard circle, if your Vanguard is Hexaorb Sorceress, you may Soul Blast 1. Look at 2 cards from the top of your deck, choose up to 2 cards from among them and put them on the top of your deck in any order, and put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. And then its auto on rearguard circle ability states, when your drive check reveals a trigger unit, you may counterblast 1 and this unit gets power plus 10,000 until the end of the turn. This card is also phenomenally amazing. Now, its first ability is a little confusing. It took me a minute to understand it, but essentially what this card does is for a Soul Blast, you get to look at 2 cards from the top of the deck, and you pretty much get to choose how you want to manipulate it. You can choose to keep both up front, you can put 1 up here, 1 down there, or you can just keep both on the bottom and just keep going through your deck faster. Its second ability also adds to its offense. Seeing as it is a grade 2, it's only 10k power, but getting plus 10k in Overdress is a really big deal, especially when you combine it with Hexaorb's plus 10 ability on top of the trigger you're gonna get, and potentially seeing a front that's an automatic plus 20 with Hexaorb's plus 10. So right there, it's like everything is just working out really, really well for this deck. Now, my main issue with Owen, which is the fact that it costs a Soul Blast, and obviously Soul is a very expensive resource for Keter Sanctuary, because the only card right now that we have that can fix this is Fasado. That's where this next card comes in. So I said Soul is an expensive resource in the deck, right? Well, Hexaorb Sorceress got her own sort of resource management for the deck, and it's this next card that I'm going to talk to you about, which is the Octodevota Sorceress. She's the resource manager of the deck, and she has the following ability. Octodevota Sorceress reads as, auto on rearguard circle, when your drive check reveals a trigger unit, if your Vanguard is Hexaorb Sorceress, you may retire this unit and countercharge 1 or soul charge 1. Perfect, yes, splendid. Hexaorb Sorceress has her own personal form of resource management. Of course, I don't like the fact that this card is a retire to get the counter charge or soul charge. It'd be a lot, this card would be phenomenal if this card could just stay on the board and then you got to choose when you reveal the trigger, because remember, you have to reveal the trigger first before you even get this effect, which means that you're only gonna be able to get the resource refund during the battle phase, so there aren't too many battle phase skills you can use besides Lepisto. But having this card as accessible in the deck means that we have our own form of resource management and we can choose what we need. If we don't need counter charging because we have enough counterblast to whatever shenanigans we want to do, then we can go ahead and start focusing on that soul charging, which is one of the more expensive resources for Keter Sanctuary. So Hexaorb Sorceress, she got a free +1, she got a free deck manipulation and a power-up card, and she got her own personal resource management. These all sound like really good things that make a top tier deck. Not only that, keep in mind that we are talking about Keter Sanctuary here, and we have some really good units in this deck as well. We've got Knight of War Damage Fasado, who's an on-hit counter charge and soul charge. You get both no matter what you hit. You got Lepisto for a counterblast of 2 who can restand herself during the battle phase, meaning you got 4 attacks now. You got the Divine Sister, the grade 1 unit that lets you Soul Blast 1, rest her, and look at the top 2 cards of your deck. You also have a really good ride lineup that helps you set up for your next turn. Not only that, you also have, I just thought about this card now, it really escaped me while I was thinking about this, but you also have the best over trigger in the game. So yeah, guys, y'all really better watch out. Hexaorb Sorceress, in all seriousness, really just needs like 1 to 2 more cards. There are a few ideas I can think about, but I don't want to ramble on about ideas. I just really want to, like, I'm just so hyped for Hexaorb Sorceress and seeing how it's going to play in the West, because I've been seeing some Japanese deck lists, and I'm going to be honest here, no disrespect to none of these people, because, you know, they get to play all the time and they understand the deck and they probably just have a better understanding of Hexaorb than I do, but I just, like, I look at these lists and I'm just not understanding why maybe they're not taking advantage of all these good cards you're playing. There are certain cards that they decide to take out or cancel out. And I do remember that in Overdress, you guys, the deck space is really tight because you got your ride deck, your triggers, and you only have so much amount of free deck space to actually manipulate. So you do have to pick your units very specifically. But the fact that we have these really amazing cards available to us means that we're only just maybe like 1 to 2 cards away from Hexaorb Sorceress being the next top tier deck. And that's it for the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you guys enjoy these type of videos, go ahead and hit the thumbs up button. It really does help your guy out. Also, don't forget to comment and tell me what you guys think about these type of videos. How can I make it better? What more do you want to see? Or who else am I going to talk about? Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell when you guys see my new daily videos. Hexaorb best deck, and that's all for today, guys. Peace.